the top 10 hottest comics of the week based off of Covrprice's data. That's right, Covrprice data. Covrprice data. That's how it works. Covrprice data. It's not speculation. It's not like, oh, this book is going to be hot, I think, so I'm going to put it on a top 10 list. No, it's actual sales data that determines the top 10 hottest comics of the week. Covrprice releases their list on a Monday. We do our show live on a Friday. We get into the list, recite the top 10 list, and Chris dives in and gives us his 3 most interesting picks of the week on the list. Now, the past 2 weeks had themes. 2 weeks ago was indie books, so Chris didn't pick out 3 books. Last week was all Falcon and Winter Soldier. Made sense. So he didn't pick out 3 books. But this week, Chris picked out 3 books. But first, guys, we are going to jump right into it and talk about, or just go over the top 10 hottest comics of the week. Here we go. At number 10 is Daredevil. Number 10, this is the second appearance of Echo, but the first cover appearance. And number 9 is Daredevil. Number 9, it's the first appearance of Echo. We all know Echo will be in the Hawkeye series as well. And there's also now talk that she's going to have a spinoff series of her own. So we shall see. At number 8, we have Harley Quinn number 1, the Yoshitaka Amano Lunar Thank You variant issue. At number 7 is Truth. Let me get rid of this banner here. How about it? Because these are beautiful covers. Truth, red, white, and black number 1. This all relates to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's really exciting how they're incorporating this. Number 6, we have Machine Man. Number 7, the first power broker, again, related to Falcon and Winter Soldier. At number 5, we have Superboy. Number 9, if you guys all saw the Suicide Squad trailer, you see King Shark in there, and he looks like he's going to be a fan favorite from that film. At number 4, we have X-Men number 4, first appearance of Omega Red. A lot of people are saying that this character will appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am skeptical. I do believe Chris is as well. Dom will get your opinion in a second. At number 3, we have Captain America number 334, the first appearance of Lamar Hoskins as Bucky. He is Battlestar as well, and again, this ties into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. At number 2, we have Tokyo Ghost number 1, the Sean Murphy variant. And at number 1, we have Tokyo Ghost number 1, the A cover. Interesting list, guys. Chris, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts?
Well, you remember the last 2 weeks, too, where DC was nowhere to be found. So happy to see some DC up on the list again. But yeah, awesome list. I picked out 3. Shall we begin?
We shall, Chris. Thank you for being polite and asking.
All right. Okay. My number 3 pick is Harley Quinn, number 1, the Yoshitaka Amano variant. Look, right here. Well, you see it. I just think this is absolutely beautiful. By the way, green, my favorite color. Love the green background. What I really like about this is the presence of Japanese artists. And I just showed off my, Alien number 1 Peach Momoko variant. Here's another one that is just, it's to me, and Peach's work, a lot of her work has these classic Japanese elements to them. And I really appreciate that because not only is it extremely cultural with a lot of rich history to this type of artwork, it brings that into a different genre of art, which is comic books. And I'm really excited that we're seeing more of that. So, I mean, you really see the elements in here just with the way that the strokes of the pencil and pens work, the facial features on the characters and everything and how everything is implemented. I absolutely love this style. So that's why I had to pick this book. I mean, look, a High Raw went for $203.
Wow.
So it's absolutely getting attention. It's getting love. And hey, I'm all for it. I'm not paying $200 for it, but I'm glad that somebody is. Let's just say that.
Yeah, this is just a stunning color. That green just draws you in. Then with the little kind of pieces of the here, I guess you got a Superman or Supergirl T-shirt maybe, and I think it looks like DC on her. Anyways, it's looking. That's a beautiful, beautiful cover. All right, Dom, any thoughts on this cover?
Is that Harley one? Is that the one that has is there a special thank you on the back of it? I thought I saw something about that. There's like a thank you message on the back from the publisher. Is that the one? Did you hear that?
I am not sure.
I thought that there was. I thought I saw that, and that there's a hard to find one actually that's put out through the UK that people are paying like and other countries in Europe that people are paying like mega dollars on. I thought that this was the issue. I'm not 100%, so I probably should be more sure before I say that, but I saw it in passing the other day. So I thought it was that one, but no, I agree. Totally cool cover. And if that's the one I'm talking about, there's like just crazy demand for something that's really hard to find, which is again, that there's like a special thank you on the back that you can only find in Europe.
Interesting. I haven't heard that either, but I guarantee you, especially in this market today, anything like that has that kind of variation in it is going to go for high bucks. So, but this next one is an interesting one as well, Chris. What do you got?
Yep, and like I say, I make my picks based on just interesting elements. It's not always, I don't pick the top 3 on the list or it's because they're the hottest selling books. I pick 3 because they have different elements to them of why they're on this list. And my number 2 pick is Captain America, number 334, the first appearance of Lamar Hoskins as Bucky. So obviously we know why this book's hot. That's not why I picked it. I picked this book because I had to touch on this factor. So I think it's very interesting to look at the fact of how this book would be received in today's climate if it was released today. And I'm talking about the quote unquote race swapping of an already established character. And who was that? That's Bucky, obviously. So we get it with we've got it with Miles. We get it with characters in the films as well, like when Zendaya came out to play MJ and so forth. I know there's been a couple recent ones as of late as well. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it's very interesting that anytime something like this happens, there is a huge outcry of how this is ruining people's childhoods. It's destroying the original characters, and it's nothing but negative. And here's the thing. This has been going on for a very long time. And one point I want to try to make here is this. This was done with the character that was already established, Bucky. And I want to point out the fact of this. This did not ruin the character of the original Bucky. And quite honestly, the character of Bucky actually got more popular as the years carried on. I mean, Bucky even got his own series as Nomad, even though it wasn't hugely popular because of the time in the 90s. And then, of course, in the 2000s, Winter Soldier. So, it's just, you got to look at these things and how they happen. And I'm telling you, it makes me ponder, what would have happened if we had social media back in those days, right? Would we have gotten the same crowd? Did that same crowd exist? But did they just not have a platform to, shout from the rooftops, so to say? Because I always say it's usually a small minority, but they tend to be extremely loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was a hubbub back then about this. I had this issue. I bought it off the rack. I was too young to probably even understand anything about it. It was just another story of a dude that took over the Bucky mantle. I think they did address it. I don't remember this. I remember reading something recently how they maybe addressed how it could be, especially the term could be a derogatory term of some sort. But I remember not thinking anything of it, and it was just another dude that was this character. That's how I remember it. I don't know, Dom, if you picked this up or had this book on your radar back then.
Yeah, well, Pete Keel put down there's a controversy was that it was a black man being called Bucky, so that be like a reference to like buckwheat. So that was probably something, derogatory. Well, it is that you could read that into it like a derogatory thing.
Yeah.
But back then, if people were upset about it, they didn't have, like you said, the social media to amplify that times 1,000. The way that they would express their discontent is by writing a letter and sending it in. No one does that anymore, right? So, and you'd have to wait a couple issues for that to come in. I don't know about, you guys probably did, but I loved reading the letter section in the back. I hated when they got rid of the letter section in so many comic books. So that's how people would express it. By the way, though, I do, just because so I don't leave the audience hanging on it, I did go to confirm. I was correct on that. So that Harley cover that you showed, there are thank you messages on the back of the book. The first one, the main one, is by Lunar, but then there's another one by Diamond. You can only get in Europe, and people are buying trying to find that comic book in like comic shops in Ireland to get it because it's so hard to find, and paying up like huge amounts of money because it's the only place you could get the one that says thank you from Diamond.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder why Diamond's doing that. Anyways, back to this is more the controversy, as P. Keel said, the controversy was a black man being called Bucky. And again, I think they addressed that in the comic book. And then Planet Arizona follows up. Well, they got a lot of flack for Black Bucky, and I hear that's why they had to change the name to Battlestar. Maybe Tom knows. This is a good segment. Maybe Tom should look into, actually. Not a bad idea. This is the first time somebody suggested that for Tom to look into.
I think I actually, looking late 80s when this came out, I actually look at that as folks being conscious of proper context. This isn't people being mad that, oh, you race swap my character. It's, look, you're good intentions, but this name can be derogatory. Right. I'm all for bringing attention to something that can seem derogatory and saying, okay, we got to fix this. So that's really awesome, because I think we tend to be in this day and age where, people look at people and saying, oh, well, it's just politically correct and all this, where we want to, not to bring in too much controversy, but the Dr. Seuss estate pulling a few of the Dr. Seuss books saying, you know what, we're going to take these off the market because during the time we felt, or for now, it's not, these are derogatory things that we obviously see as derogatory now, and they think doing the right thing is pulling them. So I could see that is this situation, and for that to get attention back in the 80s, I think is actually a very positive thing. That's kind of like the flip side of what you see now, with where the focus would be just on some superficial, oh, you're ruining my character that I grew up with, or something like that.
Yeah, again, like you and I, we never shy away from talking about things like this in terms of race. And, if there's something that you may not even know or think about, but it's somebody feels it's derogatory to them and they are taking offense to that, you have to acknowledge it and see what solutions there are, because you don't want to minimize how, you don't want to minimize a certain situation making them feel terrible, right? And you don't want to be part of the problem either. So anyways, it's just opening up, having some empathy, and just trying to understand if somebody has a problem with something that you may not have. You have to acknowledge that. Anyways, again, this is the top 10. We don't want to get too far into it.
Can I just mention something real quick, because it's such a perfect segue into a video I just posted on my channel minutes before I came on with you, which is I literally went to a vintage sale where I did find some comic books, but 47 people were ahead of me in line. I walk in, I see a bookshelf right in front of me. What do I see? Rows of Dr. Seuss books.
Dr. Seuss.
2 weeks after they were discontinued in terms of printing them by the company because of the racial stereotypes that you mentioned. Now, how is it that 47 people, this is what I go into in the video, how is it that 47 people ahead of me, most of whom are resellers, missed that? Well, they were just looking for the 6 quote unquote banned ones or discontinued ones, which to the best of my knowledge weren't there. So they just left the other ones behind. But the thing is that when you discontinue a subsection of a certain type of media and you leave the other ones out, there's spillover value that goes over to those other books. When I posted that I originally sourced that a couple weeks ago, I literally had someone write, and I had the quote here somewhere, but the person literally said that, hold on a minute, where is it? I think I have it right here. Yeah, here it is, quote, "Buying any non-discontinued Seuss book with a barcode is a bad buy. They sell for $4.50, free shipping." Well, what I show in the video I just posted tonight, I sourced them for $1 each, so $36, sold them on eBay within a week for $400. None of them were the discontinued ones, and they all had barcodes, or almost all of them had barcodes. So just be on the lookout for that for spillover value to other things beyond what's banned, because people worry that the other stuff might get banned.
Yet another tip from Tom, Primetime Treasure Hunter. You do not disappoint, sir. You do not disappoint. All right, Chris, this is the last book of your three most interesting books. Now, I personally am not sure what to think about it, so I'm interested to see what your thoughts are. Here we go. What do you got?
Okay. So, I've talked about this before in our top 10s, and this is a book that I'm not very familiar with. I have not read it myself. But my number one pick is the number one book on the list. That's Tokyo Ghost #1. It's an Image book. It came out about 6 years ago. A Hollywood Reporter actually announced that Legendary Studios has optioned it for a live action film. Now let's look at numbers real quick just to get that out of the way and add some perspective. It had after the announcement, it had a 968 increase in sales. Awesome. Look at that awesome cover, by the way. 968% increase in sales. Nobody was looking at this book before. A high raw sold for $50. Solid, not bad. But here's my thing. This is why I picked this as my number one. I talked about this before. In Image, obviously, kind of leading the way. They've been leading the way. You got to really look at the groundwork that was set with The Walking Dead, right? But leading the way for these independent publishers for being recognized by major studios to get option for the big screen or for streaming services. This is such a trend in Jeff. Like I said, we talked about this so often. It's not just the superhero genre, but let me talk about the superhero genre for a quick second. That's going to allow me to come back to the independents. We have Marvel Studios specifically, because we know the mess of DC. Marvel Studios for the last 13 years has done something so unimaginable in creating this universe that has brought in a new generation, but it's also brought in folks of all ages that were never into comics to start enjoying these.
Sometimes his internet is a little dicey. So basically, he's saying that
Jeff. What, Jeff?
He's yelling at me,
dude. Hold on. What did I just say? What did I just mention before I got cut off?
He probably said AT&T.
No, you said 13 years of
DC.
Marvel.
Did you hear me mention?
Yeah, you did actually. You did. You're right. I
was hyping Marvel up. Wow. AT&T, I'm telling you, shame on you. All right, where was I?
You were saying 13 years of Marvel.
AT&T, right, exactly. And AT&T's like, I'm shutting you down again. Anyway, so you got what Marvel Studios done for 13 years, bringing in a younger generation into loving these characters. You get people of all ages that have never paid attention to comic books before starting to dive into these characters, and a lot of them are coming back into the comic books. Okay, so you get that already with the comic book medium. Marvel has done it with the superhero genre, but then you got something I wouldn't say even bigger, but it's a larger scheme of things that's going on, kind of that's rumbling in the foundation of the medium of comic books. And that's what independent companies have been able to do by getting their stuff optioned off to big studios. And my point is this: it's changing the game of how artistic expression and stories are being told. Because whereas 20 years ago, we weren't, and don't get me wrong, they were there. We had the Batman film in '89. We had the Blade movies in the late '90s. But movies did not come from comic books. Movies came from novels, from playwrights, from screenwrites, and from just, getting a director to get a screenwriter to put something together for a film. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the actual numbers, so I can't throw an actual number out there. But I can imagine how high the percentage. Look at your streaming services and look at all the popular shows or even some of the films. Like we just had New Guard come out last year, right? As a feature film straight to Netflix. How many of these shows and these films are being optioned from comic book material? And a lot of that is being built up from these independent companies and stories like Tokyo Ghost. And that's why I picked this book, because I really think, and it goes back, everyone says people don't read comic books anymore. Comic books are such a revolutionary art form right now. They're not just telling stories to bring readers into reading comic books. They're creating stories that are being brought into every form of media that we can actually consume. Animation, streaming, television, TV shows, live action cinema. I mean, it's video games. Comic books are doing so much right now, and you got to give a big shout out to companies like Image and Boom and Dark Horse for continuing to create storylines that are being looked at and taken seriously by these big major studios. And I think that is absolutely huge. It's a game changer, and I think we're going to see it grow going into this next decade.
Yeah, it's taken over. Like, you can't deny that, and you're so right. It used to be that the comic books adapted film properties. Now the film properties are adapting the comic books. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's an incredible time to be a fan, especially like us growing up in the 80s. Like, being exposed to all of these amazing properties, and you never thought you'd see the day where the studios are leaning on those companies to create these films, and it has a lot to do with fans who grew up and entered the business themselves.
I remember it was a huge deal when Batman came out in '89. It was going absolutely crazy. You know, I couldn't believe it. And my gosh, look how things have changed since then. I mean, yeah, you had the cheesier like Captain America and Spider-Man movies before that, but I mean, you know, in the zip up suits. But this is obviously, it's totally progressed on another level lately. And you're right. I say this all the time. Now is the best time to be involved with comic books, for sure. As a collector and as a seller, it's the best time.